Welcome to a special edition of Primer to Torah. I'm John Reed Austin, bringing updates of what is happening around the world, how it fits with what the Scripture says, and analyzing how it has already been declared in the heavens before the beginning began. Now, normally I do one update a month, but after my last broadcast when I spoke about this so-called Jewish Messiah, it became so fluid in this developing story, I realized it would be necessary to focus entirely on this one event, and then wait to release the next video with other events. On April 6, 2021, a video leaked out that the Orthodox Jews and Rabbis secretly crowned their Messiah, allegedly on Passover, March 27th. The Orthodox Jews tried to conceal the crowning of their Messiah, but it leaked out on April 6, 2021. In one video source that I saw, it was time-stamped April 4th, which begs a lot of questions. Who is this rabbi? Is he really the Messiah? Did he reveal himself on Passover? Many Orthodox Jews are seen kissing him on the hand, but were these people actually worshiping him? Now, first of all, before I answer these questions, let me clarify that when this news first broke, all the sources were in Spanish and Hebrew only, and not being reported on mainstream secular or religious media, including American and Israeli. I also want to clarify that this story, if true, is huge prophetically because of predictions that were made by prominent rabbis in Israel that go way back over 40 years. I had to do some independent research just to get 2 or 3 sources, even discredibility to this shocking development. Now, as the days wore on, there were more developments that included English and speaking video and print media. In my critical analysis, I have concluded that this is a legitimate story to be considered, but it begs a lot of questions that need to be answered. Now, after several days of research on my part from multiple sources, I can tell you that I can now consider myself an expert on this subject of the so-called crowned Messiah. So the first question I want to answer right away is, who is this so-called crowned Messiah? Well, his name is called Jzikiahu ben David. My first reaction to this name was, why is it spelled with a J? Because there's no J's in Hebrew. The answer is that this man is a Sephardic Jew visiting from Spain. I noticed also that he wears glasses. You mean to tell me that the Messiah wears glasses? I'll explain why in a moment. Now, Jzikiahu ben David is an only son born in 1988. Jzikiahu is Sephardic Hebrew for Hezekiah, which means God strengthens. His paternal grandfather was Shlomo, or Solomon, a great learned man of the Torah of the Sephardic Kabbalists in East Jerusalem. His maternal grandfather was also a rabbi by the name of Yahouda. Now, it is said that his devoted grandmother, Naomi, Shlomo's wife, made special prayers to marry a grandson. So when he was born, she was filled with joy and realized that this child was called for greatness. For his entire life, he has been closely protected. His paternal grandmother wanted her grandson to bear her husband's name, and after her husband died, she saved all of her money and built a synagogue in his name. Now, his mother, however, wanted him to be named after his father, so his real name is Shlomo Yahouda Beeri. This is problematic because there are at least 2 different ages that are being reported, Jzikiahu being 30 and Shlomo being 32. Now, according to one source, he is known as Shlomo Yahouda Beeri. He is also called Yanuka, which comes from the Zohar, a mystical book that is studied by all Orthodox Judaism. And the name Yanuka is given to people that from an early age have exceptional Torah abilities. And many people call them by this name because they think this person will become a great Torah scholar. Also by this name, Shlomo, he is 32 years of age, and he is nicknamed Hanoga. By the way, he dresses because he is a Sephardic rabbi born and raised in Israel. As a child, he traveled a lot through Europe and was very poor. He is today famous for being a musician on the keyboard. Now, Shlomo Yahouda Beeri is a man with bad eyesight who wears great big glasses to correct it. Critics say that his bad eyesight could be a sign of spiritual blindness, and the glasses are man-made, just like his religion. His age, as I just mentioned, is given as either 30, 32, or 33, depending on who you listen to. He was an IDF soldier, doing that as his service to Israel and not as a career. And from childhood, he only desired to study Kabbalah, and that is what he did. Ultra-Orthodox Jews around the world are calling him Moshiach. These are Chabad Jews, Kabbalistic adherents. This is important to understand. Not all Jews are calling Shlomo Yahouda Beeri Moshiach. And remember that the Chabad Jews had a Moshiach in Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who is now dead. And what has made him so famous in the Sephardic world is that he is extremely shy and very humble. He is being lauded as the greatest Torah teacher of all time, according to a recent publication that's called the Daily Zohar, because he has vast Torah knowledge. He can recite most of the Torah from cover to cover, as well as oral law like the Talmud and Zohar, and many other texts known to the Orthodox Jews. He can even recite exact references by page number and paragraph. He's described by many rabbis as a Talmid Hacham, which translated means wise student. It's said that his passion is to bring peace and address poverty. His father had an injury that kept him from working, so that's the reason why he can be identifying with poverty, because he lived it. And his passion for the Torah comes from his understanding that ancient rabbis actually cried when they would read the Torah. And so he has this desire to understand the writings and have the sensitivity to learn with tears in the eyes. So the next begging question: is Jzikiahu, Shlomo, the Messiah? The Orthodox rabbis, as I said earlier, call him Yanacha, which is an Arabic word to mean child prodigy, often used to describe a very young and very bright Talmudic scholar. It is this and other criteria that make the Orthodox leaders consider to be what qualifies this man to be a Messiah. Now, let's take a moment and analyze the two names that are given to this man they consider their Messiah. The name that was given to him by his mother was Jzikiahu ben David. Jzikiahu, also known as Hezekiah, means God is my strength. Ben means son, and David means beloved. Now remember when Yahushua was given mikvah by John the Immerser, and the voice came from heaven and said, "This is my beloved son." Well, in Hebrew it would literally mean Ben David. Now the name that was given to him by his grandmother was Shlomo Yahouda Beeri. Shlomo is Hebrew for Solomon, which means peace. Yahuda means God is praised, and Beeri means expounder. The rabbis in the Orthodox movement have been expecting their Messiah to come from the house of Judah. He'd be a common man of high understanding. Jzikiahu, as I said, means God strengthens, or God is my strength. In Scripture, he was the 13th king of Judah and the son of Ahaz. The story is found in 2 Chronicles 29:1. He had a reign of 29 years, which is also found in 2 Kings 20, verse 21. And his name is also found in the genealogy according to the Gospel of Matthew. The Orthodox Jews say that Jzikiahu qualifies because his paternal descent, so he was anointed. But this Hezekiah, king of Israel, died, so that disqualifies him as a future Messiah, since the Messiah cannot come from the dead, according to Orthodox Judaism. But then the question is, why do they call Jzikiahu the Messiah? Well, see, they believe the true Messiah will never come a second time. In that case, he would come a second time, then Hezekiah will come, and with great merit he would become the true Messiah. Therefore, all the qualifications found in the Messiah are found in Shlomo Yahouda, according to the Orthodox Jews. But there are several practical problems that fall short in qualifying him as the true Messiah, and we're going to address those in a moment. Now, before the revelation of this man, the Orthodox Jews called their Messiah, there were a number of events that preceded his crowning. This all began to materialize at the second failed election in Israel on September 17, 2019, that failed to produce a leader and form a government. This election result was confirmed in the heavens with what I call the Kaduri sign. Now, the elections were deadlocked, and meanwhile there were two planets deadlocked in the constellation representing Israel called Bethula, Virgo. Israel is called the Virgin in Amos 5:2 and Jeremiah 31:4. It was 42 years ago, 1979, a rabbi by the name of Jzikiahu predicted that this would happen. Some students asked him, when will the Messiah come? His short impromptu answer was, when there is an election but no government. He also further said that he would not return until Ariel Sharon's death. Sharon was a former prime minister. Now, the only prophetic utterance of Beeri concerning Ariel Sharon was that their Messiah would not appear until Ariel Sharon had died. Within a little over 2 months after speaking these prophetic words, Ariel Sharon was in a coma, and Kaduri himself died. The Kaduri prophecy did not name a specific time or date in which their Messiah would be revealed, only that it would not happen until after Sharon had died, which was January 11th, 2014. Jzikiahu in 2007 prophesied a few months before his death that the new Messiah would show himself to the people shortly after Ariel Sharon's death. Kaduri left a note on his deathbed that was to be opened 1 year after his death, January 28, 2006. This note included details of his visions of the Messiah. The note read, concerning the letter abbreviation of the Messiah's name, he will lift the people and prove that his word and law are valid. This I have signed in the month of mercy. Jzikiahu. He added that the name of the Messiah was Yarim Ha'am Ve'yochaya Shedvaro V'Torato Omdim, otherwise known as Yahushua or Yeshua. Some Christians would interpret this to mean that he met the true Messiah, Jesus, because his name in Hebrew is Yahshua, translated to mean salvation. But this would be disregarded as speculative by Orthodox Jews as a messianic fraud. Just because the name was the same word for salvation wouldn't prove it is Jesus, nor would it prove it was the true Messiah. Remember, for Christians, Messianic, and biblical Torah believers, the true Messiah does not return first, but after the false Messiah. Kaduri's final clause was telling his followers that their Messiah would appear shortly after Ariel Sharon's death. What makes this story more compelling to unbelievers is that Kaduri wrote the prophecy while Sharon was happy, healthy, and in office. No hint of stroke, coma, or impending death. Here also is the 42-year-old prophecy given in 1979 by Jzikiahu regarding the coming Messiah. On the eve of the year 5780, the year of correction, there will be no government in Israel for an extended period, and the various camps will quarrel much without a decision on either side. And then, on Rosh Hashanah itself, they will fight in heaven, the holy side against the side of evil. And God and his entourage, also known as the host of heaven, a cosmic announcement, will decide between them. And this is all I can say. And from here, I swore not to reveal any more secrets and hidden things. The statements by Kaduri also reference excerpts from the ancient book called The Covenant of Persimmon by Kabbalist Rabbi Sasson Chai Shoshani, who Kaduri said was known as the prophet of Egypt. It says, there will come a day that two ministers win the government in the land of Israel. Both their names will be Benjamin, and neither of them will succeed in establishing their government or kingship. On that day, know and understand that the King Messiah already stands at the doorway, and on the Sabbath afterwards, he will come and be revealed. Shoshani's statement continued, understand this and remember it. Well, I didn't understand and remember it until this event happened, and now those words that we'll explain in a moment really mean a lot. Now in the Talmud, there is quoted reference of disciples of Rabbi Hosea ben Kisma, a Jewish sage in ancient times, who asked him, when will the Messiah come? He answered, I fear lest you demand a sign of me that my answer is correct. They answered him, we will demand no sign of you. So he answered them, when this gate falls down, is rebuilt, falls again, and it is again rebuilt, and then falls a third time, before it can be rebuilt, the son of David will come. That's found in the Sanhedrin Tractate 98a. You can Google this too. Now, while in those times it was believed to have been referencing Rome, it seems prophetically that there has been a repeat of history. So we have had 3 prophecies and 3 elections. All 3 elections failed, and now the 4th one seems to be destined to fail as well. Benjamin Netanyahu has been given the task by President Reuven Rivlin to form a government now. But if he fails to form a government with a majority of at least 61 seats, the so-called kingmaker, Naftali Bennett, he could become the next prime minister. Furthermore, President Rivlin's term is up in July. It is very likely that the Knesset could actually vote for Benjamin Netanyahu to become the next president of Israel. Now, if this happens, it's also likely that all of the charges may be null and void because he could actually become immune to all the fraud, corruption, and bribery charges. The third begging question: did he reveal himself as their Messiah on Passover? The shorter answer is maybe yes, maybe no. The videos show these Orthodox crowds with cell phones recording a particular event with them parading, talking, dancing, showing high respect, and even escorting him to a limousine. This is strictly forbidden in the Orthodox communities to use cell phones or even drive cars on the Sabbath or a feast day. I know because I was in an Uber car in the Orthodox neighborhoods on the Sabbath. They don't play, folks. They pounded on my car yelling, Shabbos, Shabbos, and they were trying to block the intersection. But irregardless, this doesn't mean they could have met possibly in secret on a Sabbath or on a feast day, Messiah, and without cell phones. Now remember the prediction made by Rabbi Sasson Shoshani? Quote, and on the Sabbath afterwards, he will come and be revealed. Well, one clue as to when all these Orthodox men were seen at the Kotel with their crowned Messiah was a video having the date stamp of April 4, which would have been the day after Unleavened Bread was over on that Sunday after sunset. In the video, date stamped April 4, 2021, a Hasidim rabbi wearing a fur hat known to be worn by Eastern European Orthodox Jews was filmed giving the blessing holding a siddur for the counting of the Omer for the next 49 days, leading to Shavuot Pentecost, alongside Jzikiahu, as you can see there on the video. Now the last begging question would be, did the Orthodox Jews and rabbis worship their Messiah? The likely answer is no, for several reasons. First of all, this Messiah has not been announced publicly yet, but could possibly be announced at Pesach Sheni, the second Passover, or Tishri 1, at the blowing of the shofar Yom Teruah, Feast of Trumpets, also known as Rosh Hashanah. Why this detail is important is because though a lot of rabbis are seen greeting this rabbi, it is actually quite normal to see many paying respect. There are many seated, many standing. It's a Jewish custom that the younger must stand and not sit. Many rabbis kissing the hand is actually a Sephardi custom. Some of the Sephardi will shake the hand, bring it to the lips, and let it go and kiss their own hand. On the other hand, Ashkenazi Jews do not kiss the hand of a rabbi. Furthermore, regular Jews don't even worship rabbis. So, is this man Jizkiahu ben David or Shlomo Yahouda Beeri truly their Messiah? Did this man appear secretly as their Messiah on Passover? Is this the guy? Does he come from the lineage of Shlomo Solomon, the Ben David, son of David, that will deceive even the very elect? If he is, then quite possibly this is right on schedule. Hasatan has fallen from heaven, and we are entering the Great Tribulation. But we must keep a close eye on this developing story. Already some other things have happened that could have ties to this event. For example, did you know the Vatican is being accused of digging an illegal tunnel to exhume King David's DNA in order to bring the Messiah back to life? Says a certain rabbi. Well, a group dedicated to protecting Israel's natural resources, called the Regavim Movement, has filed a petition against the Jerusalem municipality. They're demanding action to tear down this church that was constructed without permission. There are fears now that archaeological ancient artifacts may be or may have already been damaged during the days without supervision. Further, Rabbi Daniel Astor of the Yanar Institute, he claims members of the Catholic Church of the Dormition are involved in this illegal dig. Complicating the matter is that Israel Antiquities Authority, otherwise known as IAA, well, they've been denying this for quite a while, that the passage leading to the tunnel of King David doesn't even exist. So this story actually broke literally one day after the video at the Western Wall surfaced, showing the Orthodox Jews meeting with their crowned Messiah. Could this be a sinister plan to secretly meet with Orthodox leaders to prove that their Messiah has the DNA of King David? Several reports have stated that their crowned Messiah is half Jewish and half Muslim. This is unverified, but if it turns out to be true, this knowledge could play a part in the Sunnis glorifying him as their Mahdi. Now, there's so much more I can say about this, but this is a developing story that I will continue to monitor very closely, especially now that we are approaching Pesach Sheni, the second Passover. The counting of the Omer continues, and the second 40-day marker on May 2nd. We also have Shavuot Pentecost, Israel Independence Day, the 9th of Av, and the fall feast, where we could see some major prophetic events take place, starting with Yom Teruah, also known as Rosh Hashanah. Well, my name is John Reed Aust. I want to thank you for joining me for this special edition of Primer to Torah. Have a wonderful, blessed day. We'll see you for our next edition, which is going to be later this month. Shalom.